I mean, what did you expect, really? What's up, everybody? Happy Friday. Good morning. We are here just before the weekend. We've got a lot of football to be played this weekend. I think we're all very excited. Before we get there, though, we got to do our weekly tradition. Every Friday morning, we take a look at pass rush numbers. Pass rush Friday. And this is the first time this year where we're not really going to be celebrating very much, right? We're not going to be able to look at these numbers and go, "Oh yeah, we're on the right track. Everything's great." But I'll tell you, it's not as bad as I thought. And really, when you rewatch that game and break it down and look at the numbers and parse through everything, things really start to make more sense, right? The real problem in that game was not so much a lack of pressure per dropback, because honestly, given the fact that the Seahawks only forced like what, 21 dropbacks and 22 if you count the trick play, like they actually got a decent amount of pressure. But the problem was they had way too much success on their dropbacks. In fact, every time Jared Goff threw the ball, he found a target successfully. And they also were unable to consistently stop the run early. So Detroit was just kind of able to score quickly. So even though they got decent pressure, the defense found other ways to not get the job done. Now, it makes all the sense in the world why that would happen. And if you, as a Seahawks fan, are sitting there after this game thinking that I can't believe how little pressure we got, you got to look at who wasn't out there, right? And again, honestly, the team did not do a terrible job given the personnel they had. Like, we're going to go through it in this video, but it's not going to look all that bad when you get to the end. Remember, these previous games we played, the opposing team had to drop back to pass constantly because they're playing from behind or they're playing competitive games. And the defense was playing fairly well. In this Lions game, everything just kind of failed. So they would score so quickly and so efficiently and successfully that the pressure rate almost didn't matter that much. So anyway, looking at the numbers, starting on the defensive line, the problem becomes pretty clear when only one guy's getting any kind of pressure. Now, shout out to Jaron Reed. PFR gave him 2 pressures. Remember, we're using PFR data here. And Reed did play a good game. But when he's the only guy getting pressure, you got a problem. So you can see that there's a lack of trust with a lot of the other players on this team. Like, we're still not comfortable giving Mike Morris a lot of snaps or Miles Adams that many snaps. Adams got a decent number, I think, but I don't know what's going on with the Morris thing. I thought Morris would maybe be providing a little bit more at this point than he is. Maybe there's just something that, again, he did play edge in college, so maybe he's just not strong enough to hold up as a down lineman. But we got to figure out what we can do with Mike Morris because I think he's a pretty good player. He should be able to do something for us. But that's it for the defensive line. So just the 2 pressures from Reed. Nothing from the linebackers, which, look, in a game where Detroit didn't drop back to pass that often, it's not terribly surprising. But in the absence of so many other players, you would hope that you could get a little bit of push and a little bit of pressure from your inside linebackers. Didn't happen. Now, Baker didn't play, so we're not talking about him. We're talking about Dodson, Knight, and a little bit of Thomas. I didn't get the sense that Knight played poorly. Dodson probably did, though. So it's not like I'm necessarily hating on Knight for playing poorly. Just, would have been nice to have a pressure or two in a game like this where we weren't getting it from the traditional areas. All right, edge rushers. Let's take a look at the edge rushers here. So, no Nwosu, no Mafe. So you get what you can get from everybody else, and it wasn't without success, right? Derek Hall had a couple of pressures. He had a good game overall. He had a sack, a really cool sack, by the way. Draymond Jones had 1 pressure. Given how much he played in this game, I don't really think 1 pressure is cutting the mustard, but that's what we're sitting on right now. Gibson didn't get anything, so his time getting playtime in Seattle might be over now, so he will probably end the season with no pressures, which is disappointing. I expected a little bit better. when we acquired him. And Bowser actually did get one. He is gone now because Miami, the Dolphins, have signed him, so he's off the team. So we'll always remember that one pressure Tyus Bowser got on Monday Night Football against the Lions. But yeah, we are through the front seven now, and we've got 4 plus 2 equals 6 QB pressures. So it's not really going to get that much better, right? That's where you're trying to. That's the seat of your power, and you just didn't get it done this particular week all that well. Which again should not be surprising. We're missing a lot of personnel, and let's not forget, in past years, the Pete Carroll years, the last couple, there were games where we'd have like 3 quarterback pressures from the whole team when they were healthy, right? Like there were games over the last 2 years where we didn't breathe on the quarterback, and we had most of our guys, if not all of them. So to miss this many guys and still get 6 pressures out of your front 7, I'm not that unhappy with that. Okay, so cornerback, we did pick up one. Witherspoon was sent on the blitz a few times. He did have success getting pressure on one occasion. Now, I would say that overall, the Seahawks blitzing was unsuccessful. Usually when we blitzed, Detroit had a good answer, but Witherspoon did pick up a pressure. I think PFF gave him 2, and they graded him out very well as a pass rusher overall, so that continues to be a really good part of his skill set that we need to utilize. Nothing else from any of the other cornerbacks. Nothing from the safeties. So you do the math and you get to 7. And 7 is not bad in a game where Detroit only dropped back to pass. Really dropped back to pass, I think, 21 times. Because Goff had 18 throws and got sacked 3 times. So that's 1/3 of your dropbacks. Missing most of your front 7, including your best rushers. And playing a good offensive line in Detroit. So that's not really going to set me off. That's not really going to anger me. I've seen much worse in much more unacceptable circumstances. I'll put it to you that way. So through 4 games, we're averaging 13 pressures a game. We're at 52. If you can average 13 pressures a game across 17 games, you are doing something very, very right. You're going to pretty easily blitz past 200 at that rate. And you're going to have one of the best pass rush units in the entire NFL. So definitely a successful first month of pass rushing for the Seattle Seahawks. So life is good, man. Life is good. And one of those 4 games that you played was a game where the circumstances were disastrous. You were missing so many guys. Detroit didn't have to throw the ball that much. And you still managed respectable numbers in that regard. The big failures on defense were everywhere else. So that's going to be it for Pass Rush Friday, but we are well on pace, guys. Remember, my projection for the year was 190. We are on pace to beat that. Now, look, we're going to have to survive players wearing out and getting tired as the season goes on, potentially. But remember, we haven't even touched the Nwosu jar yet, right? And we haven't seen the full blitz packages, I feel like. I don't think we've even touched the blitz packages with this team in full. So it's coming. All right, I'll see you guys later. More videos coming later today. Go Hawks. Got a big game on Sunday. Got to get it done. And let's get the pass rush back on track. Remember, the pass rush last year for the Seahawks had their best game against these Giants. So maybe a chance to replicate that success. All right, see you guys later. Go Hawks.